Thank you for tuning in to Investment Insight, presented by McCay Wealth Advisory. I'm Mark Seymour, and today we have Brent McCay joining us. Brent, some questions about what are things to consider if you're going to retire before the age of 65?
Right, it's a great question. So a lot of people use that age 65 rule because of Medicare. Because Medicare currently picks up at age 65, there's some other things to consider if you're retiring before then. The big one is medical costs. The Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, depending upon your political persuasion, it provides subsidized health care for a lot of people under age 65 years old. And so if you are, you need to plan your income out, because one of the big things with that law is the more income you have, the more you pay for health insurance premiums. So even, that doesn't matter if you have $20 million in assets, if you only show this much income, you get a big subsidy in that plan.
That's important.
And so it's very important how you plan what accounts you pull the money out of, because you want to keep that income lower, especially in those first years, typically for a strategy for healthcare. That's all individual. Another big thing is, are you ready to transition from being away from work? It's very tough, in our experience, for a lot of clients to go from working a lot of hours to just being retired on a Monday. If you can kind of work yourself in part-time and slowly retire, that's usually considered the best. But everybody's job is different. Some jobs don't allow a slow retirement. So what I've always found is, hey, if I was to take a 3 or 4 week vacation, how do I feel at the end of the 4 weeks? Once I've gotten all the stuff done I need done, like, how am I getting by? That's a big thing. Another big part of retiring before age 65 is, are you putting, if you want to retire before that, is, are you putting money in Roth IRAs? Because Roth IRAs, you can pull that money out tax-free and still qualify for some of those healthcare subsidies, as well as lower some of your income taxes. There's a big advantage to our progressive tax code, right? Everybody, whether you're Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, or Mark Seymour over here, you get so much money in that lower bracket.
Right.
So you want to make sure that you take advantage of our progressive tax code. And we have calculators that can tell you if you're good at retiring earlier and different things to calculate it there. Also, the big thing is, make sure you have your budget in line. The worst thing we can hear is, hey, I retired, but I need to pull out 20% a year. Well, if you got to pull out that kind of percentage, it's going to be very, very hard, based on market averages, to make enough money to make that work.
Right.
And so everybody's different. When you're like, well, I might need, some people can live on $2,000 a month. Some people can't live on $20,000 a month. So make sure you have a written budget and you kind of see how much you're living off of. Once you kind of know that, it kind of makes sense what you need in retirement. Another big thing that a lot of people do, almost every person we talk to is like, hey, I need to redo my kitchen. So any of those kitchen, new car purchases, roofs, try to get all that stuff in line ahead of time. Because you don't want that big, oh man, I got a $70,000 roof repair. For a lot of people, that's a big negative on retirement. So those kind of things, try to get the big expenses done before you retire, just so you're a little set up for your retirement plan. But a lot of people can retire before age 65. It's pretty cool. We use Monte Carlo analysis and other financial tools to run the data to see if it actually works. And so it's a fun process. And these are just a few things to consider of the many.
Thank you, Brent. That's some great information, and thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Investment Insight.